Jan. So Jan has mentioned this morning. We've been trying to build a new airport in Berlin for quite a few years now. It wasn't exactly our finest engineering hours. Others call it a huge clusterfuck. We are a few years behind schedule, a few billion above target, and so we hope to open it by the end of 17 or 18. Why am I telling this? There's a lot of humor about it. It was mainly funny. It became really humiliating when LEGO produced this set of failed major projects, of which our new airport is one. It's kind of an over-complex manual. Some stones are missing, so you can never really finish it. Sort of like in real life. So, but sort of my involvement is basically only when the new airport opens, the old airport can close. And that's where I come into play, because I will take over that land. So I'm working for the city of Berlin. My team is responsible for converting that thing. And why is it relevant to you? Because it's all about creating the most amazing startup environment. We have a university in the center, a 40-hectare campus for urban technologies. It's all about the future of cities. And we'll have rockstar-like facilities. We'll have a commercial area where you can scale, and you can even mass manufacture on the premises 80 hectares of an industrial park, which is pretty amazing. And on top of it, last year we began to plan 5,000 residential units, a lot of student accommodation, and so forth. So it will be the largest smart city project in Europe in its entirety, and it's all dedicated to the future of cities, which is pretty amazing. But instead of comparing it to soccer fields, I compare it to cities. So the CITÉ de Paris, which is actually fairly small with 100 square kilometers, we are about 5% the size of the city of Paris. We're about 2.5% of the city of Amsterdam. So that's the sheer scale of it is absolutely amazing. And it's very centrally located. So we all love Tegel as an airport because it's so centrally located. Just 10 minutes to Kurfürstendamm. It's 15 minutes to Angie. So it's a great location. In the 90s, we decided to close it down. But I'm not responsible for death. I'm responsible for life after death. So don't beg me for keeping it open. I want to make paradise there. That's about it for the airport project. What I wanted to talk about is what we are doing from a content perspective. For some reason, it doesn't move on. Oh, here we go. And what your role could be in the greater picture when it comes to cities. Cities are growing everywhere currently. In Berlin alone, we are growing by 40 to 50,000 people net per year, which is a small city per year coming to Berlin. London, before the Brexit, was growing like hell. Let's see how it develops in future. We are already trying to get startups over from London to Berlin, of course. But you know the stats in general. More than half of the global population is living in cities now. It's growing by the day. So when we want to change something, we have to start in cities. And there are huge startup potentials in this field. We focus on 5 to 6 areas, basically. It's all about mobility. It's about energy. That's why we are here today. It's about recycling, water treatment, and of course, about new materials and IT solutions. So that's what we focus on with our project, and that's what you focus on with your projects as well. Now, click, click. Doesn't work. Doesn't matter. It's a huge, huge business. Some say it will double again to nearly 5,500 billion. It's not a translation error. 5,500 billion euros per year as a market. If you take these 5 sectors I've just described together, and we want to have a piece of the cake, and so do you. If this carries on, I'll be here in half an hour. I don't know. Ah, here we go. Berlin has become startup city #1 now, which is absolutely incredible. We beat London last year for the first time in terms of VC investments into the city. We got about 2.1 billion in VC investments, which is absolutely fantastic. All the major corporations that about 5 years wouldn't even talk to us in Berlin because we were the wild creative city, but not to be taken seriously by business, all of them have set up their innovation hubs in Berlin now. We have the sort of Mercedes, Cisco's come to us, Lufthansa built the innovation hub, even ThyssenKrupp. We just saw ThyssenKrupp in one of the earlier presentations. They are all trying to innovate, and they want to tap into the creative potential of Berlin. So technologies can facilitate change, and I think we are all driven by that conviction. For us, it means we design our street lamps in a new way so that they have charging facilities, they monitor the air quality, they can do the traffic management, they have the Wi-Fi and 5G infrastructure in the lamp, and on top they emit a bit of light, but that's probably the least important part of the future street lamp. So that's one thing we are working on. We think ahead, so what will happen to our cities if all the vehicles become autonomous? Then we don't need that much parking space anymore. Sort of the ownership structures of cars will change, the road layout will change. We can give back space to the public, to people, to pedestrians and cyclists and everything. So that's all incredibly fantastic stuff. And even the small stuff, like when we talk IoT, just a few weeks ago I saw this, that someone shrank the ARDUINO, you know, this little computer, this open source system, to the size of an AA battery. So you can plug it into a battery case, and then you've got a full computer, a full working computer. That's amazing. So talking IoT, we are getting there very, very quickly. But a word of warning, technology is not a cure-all. If you look at traffic management, for instance, this is the control center built by IBM in Rio de Janeiro. In China, in Beijing, it looks very much the same, like this. So not much of a difference, but the traffic in both cities looks exactly the same before and after, and that's more or less like that. So that doesn't change anything. Technology doesn't help, but you need smart design. You need to, I mean, we are in one of the greatest cycling cities in the world. Copenhagen and Amsterdam are really leading the way, but again, you need to do proper planning. I learned that Amsterdam officially ran out of bicycle parking space. I mean, what a great problem is that to have? Amazing. I mean, we want to get there in Berlin as well, but it will take a while. So, but we could think even more radically and begin to start printing cities. We've heard about 3D printing a lot. So in China, they've begun 3D printing of houses in 2014. So the first prototypes were really ugly. You don't want to live in them, but it's experimenting. They are testing. So last year it looked like that, and now in Dubai a few weeks ago they finished a 250 square meter office building. They printed. It took them 17 days to print it, 2 days to assemble it. They cut cost by 70%. It's absolutely incredible. And in Singapore they're already printing social housing. So what's going on in that field is amazing. This is probably the most important slide and the summary of 4 years of working in that space. And I don't need to convince you, but when I give talks, that's still part of discussion. But the future is electric in every respect. And if electricity is generated renewable, then it's no longer evil. It sounds so simple. But if electricity is no evil anymore, you can do amazing things with like heating, cooling, driving, producing. I mean, the whole production processes are changing currently. So I see a great future there. And now I want to show you something really amazing. This was Germany by the end of 2000. And we had about 30,000 renewable installations. The red dots are wind, the yellow ones are photovoltaic, and green is biomass. Then 5 years later, we had 221,000 installations. You see it's getting more red in the north, where it's more windy, and there are a few yellow points in the south. Now, by 2010, we had 750,000 installations. By 12, we had 1.3 million installations, and last year, we had 2.5 million installations in Germany. On good days, we heard it before, we are going up to 80% in renewables now. In the East German countries, the 5 Länder around Berlin, in Berlin we don't do much of energy production, but the sort of area around us, on some days we are above 80. On average, sort of winter, day and night, on average we are at 49.5% renewable now. And that is absolutely incredible. So the revolution is going on, it's happening already, and this is a great example where all what I've told earlier is coming together with Local Motors, one of the startups also based in Berlin. They are now printing autonomous, 3D printing autonomous electric cars. And that's why I think, sort of as a startup, to think that all these revolutions coming together is so important. So you are most welcome to join us, to support us. We are here to support you. From 18 on, we will start building that amazing future at the former airport. And thank you for having us here.